Good evening and welcome to Tap Talk number 70. Here we are in Malta. My name's Phil. I'm from Tap Water here in Malta. And tonight we're going to be talking about nitrates. Are nitrates in drinking water in Malta bad for you? And we're going to be looking at some of the evidence of what we've seen in Malta recently in an article in a newspaper, and looking at the science behind that just briefly so that we understand about nitrates and whether they are harmful in drinking water in Malta, and also we'll look at whether you can filter them out. Quick hint about that: yes, you can, which is why we have tap water filters like this attached to your kitchen mixer so that you can filter things like nitrates out. So why would we be discussing nitrates? Well, there are some things that are contaminants in our water, such as, for instance, arsenic. If you found arsenic in the water, or if you found trihalomethanes, which are a reaction between chlorine and organic products in the water. Now, if you found those in your water, you know that these are harmful because all the evidence points to it. Nitrates, on the other hand, are slightly different because there's some debate over nitrates both in food and water, which is why we're going to be looking at that now, and we'll come back to an answer for that. So if you've just joined us live, thank you for joining us. You're very welcome to sit in on the broadcast and also make comments, ask questions, and if you'd like a demonstration of tap water filters, then just let me know, and I am able to do that. So let's get to it then. I have a little slideshow here, not too many slides, you'll be pleased to know, there's only 4. But first of all, let's look at, well, what are nitrates? Well, nitrates are a soluble inorganic salt. So that means it's soluble in the water. That means it gets into the water system pretty easily. It also gets into our food system, so through the soil. We find it in fertilizers, and we find it in use in the food industry in preservatives, in particular cured meats and such like things, but it is widely used as a preservative in food as well. So soil, water, fertilizers and preservatives, and it's water soluble. That's what to know about nitrates. And what we're talking about mostly tonight is nitrates, but there is a link to nitrites. So nitrates NO3, nitrites NO2, and we'll come to that in a minute. Now, the research that I picked out, there's quite a lot of research about nitrates in water and in food. And I picked out one article in particular that came from The Independent in 2023 in April. And there's a link in the description of the video to that, or there's a link to a page where that link is. So, but if you just searched, for instance, on nitrates plus Independent Malta, then you would find this article. And it was written by 2 people, a professor at the Faculty of Medicine and Surgery, and also a doctor at the same faculty. And with nitrates, and thank you for joining us, I can see some more people have joined us now. If you'd like to ask any questions or make any comments, please do so. Just put them in the comment box on Facebook or on LinkedIn or on YouTube, and I'll pick those up and be able to answer your questions. And if you'd like to see anything about products or anything, then let me know. So this article in particular said 80 to 90% of our consumption of nitrates is through vegetables that we would be eating in our diet, 15 to 20% in water, and 10 to 15% from animal products. And this whole article is well worth a read if you want to know more about nitrates. As I say, the link is on the page in the article, in the descriptions of the video. And it's quite important to see that 15 to 20% of our consumption of nitrates comes from water. Now, I'm not going to talk much about vegetables and diet and stuff like that because that's not really my area. However, water is, so we're going to concentrate on that. And in particular, let me just make that slide a little bit bigger there. In drinking water, nitrates are a common contaminant in drinking water, and that is certainly the case in Malta, The major source being fertilizers. Again, that's very typical of Malta, which is, this article was in Malta. And the content of nitrates in the water is dangerous, this article says, since when boiled or inside the body, this turns into nitrites, which in concentrated doses may induce certain things. So, this is just one part taken out of context in the whole of the article. So I would point out that later on it says that nitrites are actually beneficial to the body in certain amounts. So it's all to do with how much rather than are they actually there. And that's the same with nitrates. It's to do with how much. And in fact, the WHO guidelines suggest, as part of the EU guidelines as well, that we should see no more than 50 milligrams per litre in our water. And welcome to Reb. Reb is a customer of ours in Malta, and he is back in France, and he misses his water filter. Oh, bless you. Hopefully you'll be able to find one in France as well. So thank you for that, Reb. Good to see you here. Thank you. So 50 milligrams per litre is what we should see in our water system, and we shall come to what the level of nitrates is tested for in Malta in just a minute. So in drinking water there are guidelines, but it's also been noticed, to balance this, in the same article it was written, and it's quite noticed, that nitrates have beneficial functions when consumed within the limits. So again, within the limits recommended by the WHO. So because nitrates have the ability to prevent bacterial growth, and also when converted to nitric oxide, they have beneficial functions for your body. So again, I'm not going into all of that sort of medical side, but basically they're not all bad, but it depends on how much, and that's what's important to know. The conclusion of this article was actually quite clear in a way. It goes from like one side to the other side. But in particular with drinking water, it says that some guidelines would suggest that testing of meat products, for instance, for concentrations of nitrates, decreasing the consumption of fertilizers, and purification, testing, and filtration of drinking water to filter high concentrations of nitrates which are water soluble. So the point being here that I think the conclusion they have come to is that it's better to filter the nitrates out of the water, even if you didn't manage to get rid of all of them. Certainly filtering higher levels of nitrates are important. So the question is this relevant to drinking water in Malta? And the answer actually is, in my view at this stage, probably is, yes. In most areas, there is a really good website, part of the Water Services Corporation website. If you look for live.wsc.com.mt and you look at the control centre and you look at water quality, there is the publication of all the tests that are current for every single area in both Malta and Gozo. And I look at these actually because I think they're very interesting. And in particular, I took a look over sort of 20 or 30 different areas whilst preparing for this. And on the whole, most areas are between the sort of 20 to 35 milligrams per litre range. Remembering that the limit that you would not want to be above, which would put you in breach of the WHO guidelines and also the EU drinking water guidelines, is 50 milligrams per litre. And the average that I saw when looking through, and this isn't a numerical average that I've worked out over taking all of them. It's just scanning through and taking a look. I didn't see any over 50. I saw some a little bit close to 50, but generally speaking 20 to 35, and in fact only 10 to 15 in some areas. So do we have nitrates in the water in Malta? Oh yes we do. And do you want to filter them? Well, that's up to you, but probably that is the answer to that one based on the article that we saw before. You probably do want to filter them out. And how it affects you would depend a lot on your diet. Don't forget that 80 to 90% of the nitrates are coming from sources such as animal products and vegetables. So, can you filter nitrates with tap water filters? Oh, yes, you can. In fact, these are a quick thing from our test results. These are our test results here. Our published test results on the website, you can get those at tapwater.mt/tests. And you will see that nitrates in the post-filtration test were less than 0.1 of a milligram per litre. So therefore, the water filter is certified to filter nitrates. You'll find that this test was, it's the test results there, they're written in Spanish because we used a Spanish laboratory, an independent laboratory in Spain in order to do the test, because we couldn't get a comprehensive test of over 100 different contaminants done here in Malta. So we actually sent the water away. We did a chlorine test here, but then we did everything else when we sent it away to Spain. And so less than 0.1. So from an average of, let's say, 30 milligrams per litre down to below 0.1, the EcoPro filter there is doing its job. Both EcoPro and EcoPro Compact are using the same filtering process. And this is the EcoPro here. And this is the filter that we were talking about that was tested. To filter out the nitrates that you would find in water in Malta. This is the filter that we're talking about. It is an activated carbon block. And if you have just joined us, please do ask any questions you want about water filtration or nitrates in the water. And if you're looking at this on the replay, please do subscribe to our channel, and you'll be able to see more updates like this in the future. So this is the water filter that would remove nitrates, as well as over 100 other different contaminants. And this filter you just change every 3 months. This water filter fits to your kitchen mixer, so you attach it to your mixer here. It fits mixers, about 80-90% of mixers in Malta. If the taps have got an aerator on the inside, you just remove that, stick in our adapter, and then attach this. And when the water is coming through here, direct through from the tap, then it's not filtered. You switch it like that, and then it's filtered. So there's this handy little switch here, so you're not using the filter all the time. So just to point out, if you have just joined us, if you'd like to ask any questions or comments or ask for a demonstration of anything, then please do let me know. The EcoPro Compact, which is its smaller brother, as it were. This filter you change every 3 months, and it does about 1,200 litres of drinking water for you. And this one is the EcoPro Compact, so it does 400 litres over a period of 2 months. So the maximum you use this one is over 2 months. Why? It's really because of the bacteria that may accumulate in a filter. This is obviously a humid environment inside here, and so it will collect bacteria after a certain point of time, up to 2 months with this one and 3 months with the other one. It doesn't really do that because the bacteria is being flushed out by the water, but its efficiency at doing that is rather reduced after 2 months and 3 months with the other one, because it's an organic product inside. It is activated carbon, which removes over 100 different contaminants. So if you have joined us, please do ask any questions you would like. I'm going to be here to answer your questions if you like, or do a demonstration of any particular aspects of the product. I'm just looking inside a water filter. We can look at inside with the camera like this. You'll see that it's got a hole in the middle of it. That's not particularly clear, is it? Try it that way. There you go. You can see that that's actually got a hole in the middle of it. And that is because this water filter inside, it has a substance that reduces the lime scale. Can't say it eliminates because it doesn't do that totally, but it reduces the lime scale That one's not sounding because it is an old filter. Let me find you a newer filter here. You can hear that sound. There's these ionization beads that are inside there that deionize the lime scale, so it stops it sticking to the surface of things. So you get much reduced lime scale in kettles and stuff like that. So not only filtering the nitrates, but also 100 other contaminants, such as nitrates, nitrites, heavy metals, chlorine. It deals with the lime scale. It's also filtering microplastics and also herbicides, pesticides, antibacterials, pharmaceuticals, bacteria, and all sorts of other things. So there's actually a list of 100. It filters things like benzene and stuff like that, which occasionally you do to get contaminants. The thing is, with a water filter that you attach to the kitchen mixer, like this, and then you filter the water, is that you are filtering the water at the very last point of delivery, right before you drink it. And that's when you really want to be filtering the water, because you know that the contamination after that is far less likely. But in the pipes and the system and the run-up to your house, even in your internal pipes in your house, you don't always know what's happening. And there are tests done all the way throughout the system up to the point of delivery of your house. But after that, it's really up to you or the other people that are residents. So you never quite know. All right, so if you have got any questions on any of the subject, including nitrates, nitrites, any of the other 100 plus contaminants that are filtered from these two products, I should mention about the government grant. There is a government grant currently for these products. They count as water filtration, grant A. You get 40% grant back from the government when purchasing one of these filters. And in fact, we're around something like 4,000 households in Malta currently using these products and saving the use of around 2.5 million plastic bottles every year. So that's a dent in the carbon emissions from Malta, and also a dent in the plastic that you would find lying around, and also a dent in the amount of time you would spend going to BCRS machines to get your deposit back on plastic bottled water. So thank you for joining me tonight. I am certainly here to answer any questions if anyone who is watching currently has got any questions. Otherwise, we have got some events coming up, so we'll see you at events as we are out and about, both next weekends. There's 3 events next weekend, one in Eclean, the Flower Festival, and the Food Festival in Ormery on Saturday night. And then Sunday is the Health and Green Fair in Kennedy Grove, which was postponed from yesterday, because the weather wasn't very good. If you just joined us, we are actually at the end of the show, but please do ask any questions or comments or watch the replay to find out whether there are nitrates in the water in Malta. Yes, there are. And whether you can filter them out. Yes, you can, with one of these, a Tap Echo Pro. Thank you very much for joining us. We shall play out with a little bit of music and see you next time. Thank you for watching.